Within this presentation, I'll be reflecting on the project my group and myself undertook to create an event for our chosen charity. I'll discuss each stage of the event planning process and reflect on what operations were successful and which aspects were not so. The PMBOK model is used to help identify each stage within the process of organising an event or execution. Here are the stages defined. Initiation, procedures that help outline the requirements and vision of a new event. Planning, processes used to determine the planned scope, specify and evaluate its goals, and create an action plan to achieve them. Implementation, practices designed to fulfil the requirements of the planning process by performing the job specified in it. Event, protocols needed to monitor, evaluate, and guide the event's performance and progress while making any essential adjustments. And shutdown, actions needed to conclude an event. In the initiation stage, once the group members were decided, Balbin's team roles theory was used to identify traits of each member in the group, which consequently allowed the role allocation to be simple. Our ideation for our project looked over multiple charities to determine which collaboration would be most suitable for what we set out to achieve. A negative of the initiation stage was the golf club being the only consideration to host the event, but we narrowed down the ideation to this. The Matt Hampson Foundation was considered a reachable charity due to its smaller scale. The golf club facilities host a variety of unique events, and both charity and venue were initially perceived as suitable for our initial event plan. Once we came together and finalised initiation ideas, here were the narrowed ideas of the event from the live pitch. The initial look of the event was promising, with all considered. However, only a few of these examples actually came to practice. We were soon to find out, due to external factors, guest speakers and live music would not be available. There was also a lack of innovation to see the realistic opportunity of holding these activities. In the planning process, we used the feasibility study to help identify if our plan was viable. So the aims and objectives was to raise £500, the description of the event, a dinner evening with ongoing activities. There were no calculated resources. The constraints was a £0 budget. There was limited time, and in the end there was quite a lot of false promises. Contingency actions, we struggled to sell tickets over the minimum requirement, and there was faults with the charity actions. And then the allocated roles, we obviously had Callum director, I was the communication officer, Jack on media and marketing, Junso health and safety, and Olivia in procurement. Smart targets are often set at the beginning of a project to outline the main goal. Here are our smart targets. So the specific was to raise the £500 for the Matt Hampson Foundation. Measurable, it can be done by 40 to 50 guests attending. Agreeable, obviously decided by the group. Realistic, no upfront costs from a £0 budget, but we are dependent on the ticket sales. And time, due to room hire and dates, as well as the timescale of the assignment, the 15th of March was the specific time frame. Our budget plan considered the event ongoings and costs of the type of the event, being a dinner evening. Due to changes further in the project, some variables were subject to change, such as guest speakers, auction items, and donations. An optimistic prediction was also created to sense whether the event success would be achievable. A handover was developed once confirmed information was available to allow organising of the actual event evening. Majority of the information was accurate, however, the auction slots were completely misleading to what was delivered by the charity. The set out timings also differed due to the venue's demands, as well as changes to the charity video presentation. Masterman's 7 Eyes considers the general experience for participants at an event. Some of the aspects were identifiable here. Interaction, being the auction, raffle and the 3-course dinner. Individuality, guests partook in the raffle and auction, and dietaries were customised if they were asked to be. Integrity, customers had chance to take part in various activities along with what was already provided within the ticket details. And innovation, the golf club hasn't ever held a student-led or rugby-focused charity dinner before. The 4 E's was used to research and promote customer satisfaction in our event, and here it was applied. Educational, displayed a promotional video of the charity's work. Flyers and handbooks were also placed on the tables. Aesthetic, there was actually no specifics that were achieved. Escapist, the auction, and entertainment, the raffle and dinner. In the implementation stage, promotion and advertising was developed to publish as efficiently as possible to reach out to multiple customer segments. The Honeycomb framework enabled us to create a successful marketing strategy for social media. Elements of media from the Honeycomb model were analysed, such as groups, relationships, and presence, which was taken into the final output of advertising our event. Following on from the Honeycomb, an Instagram account was the initial action to promote the event, which held all the marketing material that was created. We contacted both the charity and the golf club to send a message to their customers and audience. The charity only posted on their Facebook page, which was a limit compared to their other media channels. And in addition, the golf club sent out an email to all 600 members, but only a week in advance of the actual event. Here is the final confirmation from the golf club establishing our event. However, information in the contract details were incorrect in line with our event plan timings, such as the 7 p.m. arrival. When we negotiated 6, prices were also not decided by the bracket that was printed here, which consequently made an action plan on our behalf. If it was going to be £30 per person. The event itself was overall a success, and most of the timings and aims that we had planned were met. A few of the key points from the evening were highlighted here. Majority of attendees arrived on the scheduled time. The food service was earlier than scheduled due to the golf club's demands. Wrong auction slots were delivered with missing reserve prices. However, they were able to be sold and were all met at the reserve price or better. 350 raffle tickets sold. Auction had little competition, but the overall charity input at the event was very minimal. So the event, in a guest perspective, arrived with an option to buy drinks from the bar and socialise with other attendees. A chance to see the promotion video of the charity work, buy raffle tickets and see the auction prizes too. And then eventually, when everyone was there, welcomed by the team with a speech, and straight after, the 3-course meal took place with no breaks in between, which is not what we had planned, but the event venue demanded it. And then after that, we began the auction with also help from the venue to sell, and guests had a chance to buy prizes. And then raffle numbers were read and prizes were received again. And all after that, it was a thank you speech and just a quick overall talk about the charity. To shut down the event, we sent out a survey to several attendees to gain feedback from the evening. The general responses was positive and satisfaction was reached. Some negatives were the contribution from the charity and having more attendees. Once the event was completed and profit was donated, the charity contacted us with a confirmation letter of our donation with an appreciation for our support. So the concluding numbers of the event, 40 event tickets sold, 39 attendees, 350 raffle tickets were sold, and £1,050 total profit, being particularly pleased with the total that was raised for the charity. Triple bottom line, used by businesses to measure CSR impacts. We measured each of the categories down specifically to our event. Within people, we have, obviously it was a charity event. It raised awareness for the charity and, of course, promotes it at the same time. For planet, the golf club has reusable items and facilities. No food or drink was actually wasted on the evening. And of course, as I've said, profit £1,050 was raised for the charity. The Kolb framework helps to gain what has been learnt throughout this experience. Here are some overall points considering each of the parties involved. So the charity was initially cooperative with our event, idea and plan. However, communication between parties slowed throughout planning and implementation stages. The word of the charity did not follow up with their further actions, leaving the group uncertain of confirmed plans of action. The golf club misled regarding set prices for room hire and three-course meal negotiations. It was also made unaware the minimum requirements of attendees needed for the event to take place under the venue's requirements. Throughout the event, staff at the golf club were fairly incooperative with the team's plan of timings of ongoings in the evening. The event team was generally working alongside one another at an efficient standard. Some group members' commitment to the project wasn't matched with others. In addition, communication with individuals was sometimes hard due to language barriers, and the presence of members altogether was also a struggle. So my own personal experience, throughout my experience of the event project, I overall found this engaging, however challenging for various reasons. My allocated role in the group was Charity Communications Officer, in which I found relatively challenging. The charity's initial communication with myself was positive. Consistent emails and phone calls were in place to negotiate plans of the event. However, the connection soon became loose and inconsistency arose. Plans that were previously in place were soon turned down, such as the potential of guest speakers present and charity workers attending the actual occasion. Auction prize confirmations were also completely wrong. So consequently, it left myself to be proactive in a short time to deal with these factors that had an impact on the actual event. One factor that made my role difficult in the later stages was my absence over certain dates that collided with group meetings and planning. This ultimately caused uncertainty between the group, which I do hold myself accountable for. If I was to undertake this again in my allocated role, I would be constantly proactive in terms of negotiations with the charity in the build-up. I found it relatively difficult to stay in consistent contact, but this was due to their delayed responses. By following up on previous messages, some confusion could have been avoided. Contact with individuals in the group that were not consistently at group meetings also made some planning delayed. To avoid this, a collective effort may have changed this. Reflecting on the Kolb framework and personal reflection, this project's experience has been extremely valuable to myself. A factor in Kolb, abstract conceptualization, allows to reflect, learn, and draw a conclusion of my own actions. Potentially by having a different role in the group would have enabled me to support the group further, as I struggled to network with the Matt Hampson Foundation to an extent. By dealing with the poor actions of the charity, I had minimum time to focus and develop potential other actions with the team, as I felt under regular pressure. Further initiation and planning in the development of the event would have been beneficial, especially due to the lack of shortlist in other venues. The golf club hosted the physical event well. However, alternatively, throughout the journey, many unanswered questions were created on their behalf. The location of the club also made it difficult for attendees, as it was rural and a car was necessary to participate. Having a venue with better transport infrastructure could have increased ticket sales. But overall, to conclude, future events and projects will have a better understanding of what worked with this specific charity dinner and what prevented certain factors such as ticket sales and more input probably from the charity. And here's a reference list of all the theories and frameworks and other materials that help me support this reflection.